Hello and welcome to my food channel, The Vegan Cook's Passport, where I aim to cook a vegan version of every national dish in the world. So this is episode 8 and the country is Armenia. The national dish is called harissa. Before we get into that though, I'm just going to show you where Armenia is on a map. Armenia is a landlocked country in Western Asia, a former part of the Soviet Republic. It is right here. It has a rich and ancient cultural history. The cuisine is mainly reliant on fresh produce. They don't use a whole load of spices, but they do use fresh herbs when possible. I'd like to make a general comment about this dish. It's very easy to make. There aren't that many ingredients. It's a one-pot meal and it's really healthy. You got everything in there you need. You got all the proteins, carbs, fats. You got nuts, wheat. Going to use some sunflower seeds as well. It's a great dish if you want something easy, doesn't take too long, and gives you everything that you need. So what is Armenian harissa? So basically it's a savoury porridge. It's made with bulgur wheat and it's traditionally cooked with lamb or chicken. It's a very important dish in Armenia. It's generally cooked once a year to commemorate the Armenian genocide that happened in the First World War. If you don't know anything about the Armenian genocide, I urge you to go read about it. It's pretty gruesome, it's horrible, but it's pretty important to know about as well. By the way, this dish has got nothing to do with harissa paste. That spicy paste that you'd find from North Africa. Exactly the same spelling, but as far as I can see, it's got nothing to do with it. Okay, let's go through a few of the ingredients. First of all is the bulgur wheat. So you can buy just the whole wheat, and then I think you have to soak that overnight, and it's a bit of a process. Much easier, you just get cracked bulgur wheat or bulgur wheat that's already sort of been processed. You don't even have to soak this stuff. You can just cook it. It cooks pretty quick. For this porridge, it's going to take about half an hour to cook, so not too long. Right, so what have I done to replace the meat that usually goes into this dish? The main ingredient I've used instead of that chicken or lamb is lentils. So green lentils in this case. Dried. Again, you don't have to soak these at all. Just give them a little bit of a wash and then they're ready to go. Really good source of protein. So you're replacing the protein that you'd usually be getting from the meat. I use lentils a lot as a meat replacement. I do a really good chili con carne, chili sin carne if you like, using lentils instead. I use the orange lentils for that. They tend to go a bit mushy. The green ones tend to hold their shape a bit more, so you get a little bit more of a crunch. Right. Another thing I've done is I've added a couple of different types of nut to the dish. So I sort of did a little bit of a research on what foods are typical in Armenia, and yeah, it looks like they're pretty heavy on their nuts. First one is almonds, the good old almond. Second one is the walnut. So that's going to give a lovely crunchiness to the dish. I'm using roasted nuts. If you don't want to buy them pre-roasted, you can just chuck the oven on 200 degrees, put them in the oven for 10-15 minutes, and then you've got roasted nuts. Just one thing about almonds. I love almonds. I eat them every day. I think they might be an aphrodisiac. Maybe just me, I don't know. Anyway, they taste delicious. I love them. They're really good for you as well. That was pretty much it, really. Just wanted to say how much I love almonds. Okay, enough about almonds. Let's get on with the cooking. Add 1 chopped onion to a pan with a glug of olive oil. Fry on a medium heat for 5 minutes. Next, add 1 teaspoon of ground cumin and 2 teaspoons of ground coriander seeds, half a cup of crushed roasted walnuts, half a cup of crushed roasted almonds, 1 teaspoon of tarragon, 1 tablespoon of sunflower kernels, and a teaspoon of salt. Stir that all together, then fry off for 2 minutes. Next, add 1.5 cups of cracked bulgur wheat and 1 cup of washed green lentils. Give it a stir, then add a litre of vegetable stock to the mix. Bring to a simmer and cook on a low heat for 30 minutes or until the lentils are soft. Stir frequently and make sure it doesn't get too dry. If it does, add a bit of water to cover the mix. Give it a really good stir at the end. You want to aim for a porridge-like consistency. And there it is. Drizzle with a bit of extra virgin olive oil and serve with some flat bread and pickled veggies. Yes! Here we go. Armenian harissa vegan style. It looks pretty much like what I've seen in photos. It looks like a savoury porridge. It smells delicious. Gonna get stuck in. Delicious. Really delicious. So easy to make. Oh, lovely. I'd say that one thing I'd say is the salt level for me in this is just about perfect. I used my own homemade broth where there isn't that much salt. If you're going to use a store-bought broth or stock, go easy on the salt because those things have usually got loads of salt in them. So maybe don't add more salt and then taste it at the end and see if you need to season. So this dish is often accompanied with pickled vegetables, which I think would be delicious with this. In my fridge at the moment, I've got some pickled beetroot, some pickled walnut, and some pickled gherkins, which I'm definitely going to have with this. If you don't have any pickled veg, maybe recommend just a little squeeze of lime, just to liven things up a bit. I'd also recommend a liberal drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. That would be lovely. It's also usually accompanied by a flatbread in Armenia, which is called lavash. If you can get your hands on that, that's going to go well. If not, any other flatbread, even like roti. I think a roti would be really good, which you can either buy or make really easily at home. Okay, so wine pairing suggestion to go with this. For me, I'm a big fan of sherry, dry sherry. It's one of my favorite drinks, and I think some dry sherries with this would be absolutely perfect because you get a real nuttiness from those dry sherries, which is going to go really well with the nuttiness of the dish. I just think the whole texture of it will go really nicely with this sort of porridgey harissa. I'm going to go for a palo cortado sherry, which is a type of sherry. It's got a little bit of a sort of brown color, but still quite lively. You could have Oloroso sherry, which is a bit denser. You could have Amontillado, which is a little bit lighter. Palo cortado is kind of in the middle. Any of those three are going to go really well. Make sure it's dry. Generally, the really cheap sherries, they are just sort of sweet blends and they're really nothing like their dry counterparts. Fino or Manzanilla sherry, even though I love that stuff, maybe a bit light for this dish. I think you want to go, Palo cortado or one of the other two that I mentioned. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel and tune in next time where I'll be cooking a vegan version of the national dish of Australia. See you later.